All right, what is up? What is up? Welcome to another episode today, guys, of the Coangler Chronicles podcast. As you can see today, I am doing a podcast, but I am not on here by myself ranting and holding up baits and talking about Cinco's. I actually have a guest on here today. I'm very excited and very thankful for him to come on the podcast with me today. We're going to talk all things fishing, have a little bit of fun, and kind of go from there. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and what he's got going on, but I'm super excited to have it. Super excited that you guys are joining in for another episode. Coangler Chronicles podcast. Today I am live with Tackle Warehouse Invitationals Pro Grae Buck. Grae Buck, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on. I'm ready to talk some fishing. It's a winter. We're kind of cold, so nothing better to be doing than this right now.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I've been organizing tackle probably 3 to 4 hours of the day because I ain't really got much else to do. Go to work, organize some tackle, get ready to go. Hopefully, there's something to catch here soon. So I certainly appreciate it. I do want to kind of start us off and let people kind of know a little bit about you. I know I introduced you. You got some big things going on this year, but maybe tell a little bit about you, like how long you've been fishing, and just maybe like where you're from, just so they can kind of get a better idea of you.
Yeah, so I'm from Green Lane, Pennsylvania. It's just north of Philadelphia, about an hour or so out in the suburbs. And I've been fishing professionally now. This will be coming on the seventh year. So 2017 was my first year fishing the FLW tour at the time. And I fished through that all the way up until we became the MLF Pro Circuit. And now we're the MLF Invitational. So new name, but same game. We're still trying to catch 5 big fish and get
There you
out
go.
there. Other than that, I fished some of the MLF Toyota Series. Over the years, I've done a lot of the Bass Opens, and 2019, I was able to win one of those. So I got to fish the Bassmaster Classic on Lake Guntersville in 2020. That was
Wow,
probably one of
wow,
the
okay.
career highlights, catching some big fish down there and getting them, take them across the stage in the arena. That was cool. So,
Absolutely. Yes,
um,
sir.
but yeah, no, I've been at it for a while now, and I I love it. This is what I dreamed of doing as a kid, and somehow I was able to win a couple tournaments at the right time and kind of make a career out of it now.
Man, that's awesome. So I will share a little bit of a backstory here with everyone that's tuning in. And when I first got into fishing, I showed up at the ramp one day, and actually, I think I've mentioned this to Grae when I talked to him. I might have been like my second tournament ever in life on the Potomac. Pulled up to the Potomac, had, of course, I was fishing as a co-angler. I had, 13 bags of tackle and 373 rods. I was just trying to get out there and hope I do something. And as I'm going, uh, I see a guy come down the ramp,
Uh-oh.
and we're all there. Up, you still there?
Frozen?
Oh no, frozen. Let me see if it brings you back before I keep going. Oh, guys,
Oh, that better?
you are back. Last time I had that happen, I did like a short monologue of jokes that I had saved up. So I didn't do it. I saved it this time. You back? I can see you.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. It was going, and then you started to talk, and then I lost you.
Then it
But
went. Oh, okay, okay.
I took you off Wi-Fi. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Uh,
Is it good now?
yeah, it's good now. I see you just
All
fine
right. I'm
now.
not going to change anything then.
Okay, all right, we'll keep it that way.
Sorry about
So I
that.
was. Oh no, you're fine. I was saying, I'm not sure if you were catching, but I was telling people about a little bit of a backstory when I first saw you ever. This was like my first or second tournament that I was fishing, so this would have been maybe 5 years ago. I was at Coangler at the ramp. I had uh, 3, 5, 7 bags of tackle and 19 rods. I was trying to, do my thing down there. I had no clue what I was doing. I was on the Potomac, and because you mentioned about the dream and getting things going the way you wanted to go, so I'm coming down there, and I'm walking down the ramp. We're at Smallwood State Park, and I see a guy come around the corner in a nice rat boat, nice truck, and everybody's head kind of turns, and they're all looking, and I'm like, what is everybody looking like? What's going on? And it happened to be Grae Buck coming around the corner, and everybody in the parking lot, everybody I was around was like, dude, that's Grae Buck. He can catch him. Oh man, I don't know why I even showed up today. I can't believe Grae. What is great? Like the whole park. I'm like, I'm standing probably around about 10, 15 people. We all see you come around, And honestly, that was my first time seeing the this, like, there's a guy who hops in a tournament on the weekend, right? And then there's a guy who's trying to make a career out of it, like he's getting the thing going. This is my first time seeing that come around the corner, where there's somebody who had a plan, on a mission, had their stuff lined up ready to go. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of affected where I kind of went, because I was like, dang, okay, that's how you want to pull up. You want everybody to know that you're here. They know you can catch them. I don't know what you did in that tournament. I don't even remember the results. I don't think that even mattered. I'm pretty sure I got mad that day about something, and I just forgot the whole rest of the day. But I do remember Gray Buck pulling around in that. I think it was the concrete company was still on the truck.
Yep.
The niece,
Landis
they
Block and
were on
Ice
there.
Cream.
There you go. That came around, all that, man. And I was like, wow, okay, well, that's what I think I want to do. I think I want to do that, man. So I don't know if I shared that with you, but it definitely played a big part, because I think the very first tournament I ever fished in my life was with David Walker, and I got to see David Walker's boat and fishing with him. That was great. And then I'm like, but David Walker was like, he's way up. He in my brain, he's way up here, Bassmaster League guy, $1 million, like that. I was like, okay, I don't know about. I don't know if I can ever do that. But to see somebody, because they all knew you were on your way up. That's the thing about the people in the parking lot. They knew you were on your way up. They were like, this guy, he's about to be that guy. So to see where you're at now, I'm like, yeah, they kind of knew it. They saw it, man. Like we all saw it that day, and you're still out there putting in that work, man. And you, since then, you've won the Open, right? I watched you on TV not too long ago in the championship deal. I'm sitting there watching all of this stuff going on. I'm like, yeah, and you just keep on going. So you're like motivating everybody that's coming right behind you, like motivating all of us, man, because we can see the work you put in and what it is that you're doing. So that's pretty awesome, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's just a guy from the Northeast that wants to make a living fishing, and there's not, there's not a ton of us. That's the thing. And
Okay,
growing
okay,
up, like Ike and Ellie was the man to me. Like I wanted to be Mike, Ike, and Ellie growing up, and maybe not the
okay.
streaming part, but I wanted that
Oh
success,
man,
and he was the guy I
right?
kind of looked up to. So it's kind of cool to hear that. I
Oh
know
yeah.
I have a long way to go still, and I've had some highlights here and there. Just got to put it all together and keep climbing.
Yes, sir. You definitely putting in that work. So what I want to do real quick with you, because I said we're going to try to, I'm going to mix up a little bit as far as what I normally do, but I want to try to play um, a quick game with you, because as we're getting to know you and kind of letting people know a little bit about you and what your things are. A quick game. I'm going to ask you some questions. 2-word answer, no more than a 2-word answer. Short and sweet, but I'm going to just fire off some questions for you so we can kind of see, so people can kind of get a feel for you. So I'll do 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to go. What's your favorite? And actually, hold on. My wife told me that you may not like football. Do you not like football? Let me ask you. She was like, "Why
I'm
are you
cool
asking
with
about
football.
football?"
I'm more of a. I was an ice hockey player growing up.
I so okay. So the last guy I talked to, Mr. Jacob Bigelow, Bassmaster Open guy, he didn't watch any ice. He didn't watch any hockey. He had no idea about hockey teams in the state of
Uh,
Wisconsin. So I don't know any hockey teams. I just know Wayne Gretzky. That's
yeah.
about the extent of my stuff. That's it. So,
No.
but you know football enough to pick a team.
Oh
I can
yeah.
go favorite. Okay, all right, we'll go.
I'm an Eagles fan. Don't get me wrong.
Okay,
I'm a
well,
Philadelphia Eagles
okay,
fan.
all right. We are. Well, we got that. Oh man. Well,
Yeah.
it was nice interviewing you, Gray. I appreciate your time. No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think we have to see y'all. I'm a 49ers fan, so I don't know
Okay.
if we have to see. We may have to run into y'all at some point here
Yeah,
very
we'll
soon.
see you in the NFC Championship
Okay.
game.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay, we'll cheer on. May the best man win. That's all good. Favorite football team we got? Philadelphia Eagles. Favorite food?
I'm a big Mexican fan. If I'm on the road, I'm going to a Mexican joint every time.
Okay. Okay. All right. What's your favorite food at the Mexican place? Then we'll figure it out there. If you had to pick
Uh,
something, you're gonna grab it from wherever you go.
you can't go wrong with fajitas. They're
Okay.
always good.
Okay. I do like fajitas. All right. Favorite. Um, I probably know the answer to this already, but let's take out bass. Favorite fish to catch outside of bass.
Oh, I really like catching snook. So if I go down to
Okay.
Florida,
Okay.
any of that inshore stuff there where you're fishing in the mangroves, I'll go down there with my wife before a tournament in Florida each year, and we'll go either rent a kayak or a little skiff boat, and we go catch snook
Okay.
and redfish and the sea trout, like any of that stuff. That gets me excited. I love
Oh
mixing it
boy.
up and
Okay.
catching some stuff other than a bass too.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. I think someone asked me what else I wanted to catch, and for the longest time I said I only want to catch bass. I don't want to catch anything else. I don't even want to look at nothing else. I just want to stay focused on bass because I haven't been fishing that long. So I felt like if I try to figure out what a snook want and this one, that one, I'm gonna get confused. So I just felt like let me just stick with it. But it all goes together, is what I'm learning.
Absolutely. And that's what I liked
So
about those snook
okay,
is they fish just like a bass. You can go take a
okay,
Z-Man diesel minnow, like a little 4-inch bait, and you throw that on a ball head and you cast it out there just like you would a bass, skipping around the mangrove, under a dock, any of that stuff. And they
okay.
come over and they'll grab that bait and they hit it hard. They jump all over the place. Like it's a lot of fun. And
Oh,
it
okay,
reminds me of
okay.
smallmouth fishing and largemouth like a little bit too. It's a kind of that mix.
Okay, that does sound. I have a trip planned to Florida in February. I'm not sure if you guys will actually be down there during that time. You may actually be, and that'll be pretty cool. But I do have a trip planned to Florida. I plan to catch a peacock bass. I ain't never caught one of those. I ain't never caught a snook. I ain't never caught a literally nothing. I don't think other than a bass and a chain pickerel, a crappie, and I caught a warmouth. That's
Oh
about
yeah.
the extent. And a striper. I caught a striper. That's about the extent of
Okay.
the fish I done caught. I ain't caught nothing else. So I'm excited. Well, I did catch a speckled trout, but it was like that
Uh,
big. So I need we need to get a little bit we can get a little bit of size on that. So that'll be awesome. And I know that's your first stop. So that kind of leads us right into what we got coming up here for that. So thank you for playing. We got through a couple of questions. I feel like I got a better idea about what's going on, and just for everybody who's listening. So thank you all for tuning in, listening to podcasts or watching the live version. I certainly appreciate y'all. It's pretty awesome feedback that we're receiving in regards to it, questions, things like that. So it's pretty awesome. If you are uh, listening, thank you. I appreciate you. Now, Grae says, kind of leads right into you already mentioned some of your accomplishments that you had the pleasure of doing, particularly the Open. I saw that you did win I think it was four BFLs. There's Toyota Series really up there at the top, the MLF championship really up there at the top. I was watching you and Kyle Hall. I think y'all was in the same spot working over that type of thing. So I was like, one, I did have a question about that, but I felt like I try to keep it pretty straightforward on what we're doing here. But I really felt like that if only one of y'all was there, one of y'all probably would have maybe took that whole deal. But it was two of y'all. Y'all were. I felt like y'all could throw a pole in each other, a drop shot in each other boat. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's normal, but
That
I
was
was
the
just
biggest
curious.
school smallmouth I've ever seen
Okay,
anywhere.
okay, okay,
And so, like, how that one played out, it wasn't a five fish tournament. We were fishing that Major League Fishing where you catch as many as you can. And
right, right.
I was Group A, he was Group B. So the first 4 days, we never saw each other because we were
Okay,
fishing opposite
right.
days. Day
Makes sense.
three, we were started near each other. They gave us a half hour to kind of ride around, check things out before you're allowed to start fishing. So I went and checked a bunch of stuff that was in that general like 5 mile range, but I didn't go to the good spot until like right before it started because I was just idle. I wanted to see where the schools were. I hadn't been on the water
Okay,
for 2 days at that point, and I knew where I was going, like to go where the big school was when I left them. And I pulled up there, and Kyle was about probably I don't know 100 yards, maybe a little bit further in, starting on like top of the shoal.
okay,
And I was just there was a break on it, and when I pulled up to it, I put my trolling motor down. I looked over there with my active target, like just loaded.
okay.
I've never seen so many smallmouth down there.
That had to
And
be
on that
insane.
third
Yeah.
day with the knockout round, I dropped down my first 5 drops, like right under the boat. I caught 5 fish, like big smallies. They were all I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly. They were all in that 4 pound range. Like I had like almost 20 pounds in the first 5 drops of the morning. It was silly.
Yeah, it was.
And
It was.
then we were catching them pretty good all day there, and we were both close to the top. I think I was in the lead for a while that
Mm-hmm.
first or that third day, and then once I hit like 60 some pounds with that, I knew I was going to make the championship day, which was the top, I believe, 10 at that point. So I left. I didn't fish there for probably almost half the day, maybe a little more. And I was just exploring, trying to find new stuff because I knew the final day we had this weather system coming in
Okay.
that was going to change from how Sturgeon Bay sets up. It was instead of coming out of the east, the wind, which was fairly protected, it was going to come out of the northwest, which would go down the entire bay, which was, I don't know if it was 100 miles long. It was huge. And I knew it was going to just blow up the spot we were fishing.
Okay.
And I went out there. We actually both went out there that final day to try to start on it. And as soon as I got there, I started looking around, and there's 5 footers out there at this point. and I got a camera guy with me. I got a boat official with me.
Mm.
So we got 3 guys in the boat. We're about 5 miles offshore, and they weren't there in the numbers. And I started there. I think I was leaving for the first, like, probably, I don't know, 2 hours maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't catching a lot of them. And they got bigger, and I got to the point where you couldn't stand on the front deck. And having a couple guys with me out there, I wasn't comfortable keeping them out there. Like, I could have fished all day out there, but when you got 2 guys that you're dealing with, I was like, it wasn't fair to them. And what it really came down to is I knew I couldn't win there. Just
Okay.
the school would move. With that current changing out there, it just kind of kept those fish off the main area where they were setting up before. They moved the bait, essentially, is what it came down to.
Okay.
So I gambled. I ran over to the Lake Michigan side, and I had not practiced over there at all, but I knew it was going to be out of the wind and protected. And I spent basically the rest of the day idling, trying to find the win in school. And there's not many chances you get to make the championship and have a shot at it. So I was like, I got to go for it.
Right, for sure.
It was all fine. Like, it is what it is. Like, Kyle, I don't know if he caught anything out there in the morning. He ended up going sneaking around another island, and I think he did pretty decent in the afternoon. He caught some fish that was like probably 10 miles from where we had started. But no, it was just that third day, that knockout round. I'm telling you, it was silly how many fish were down there. Like,
Man,
if not
okay.
hundreds, there was thousands of them down there.
Oh wow, okay. That is insane. I've never seen or experienced that at all. So I was right there, tuned in, glued to the like I'm like, dude, this he caught another one. Oh wait a minute, no, he got another, and he got like I was like every cast, I was like I'm just sitting there like this is nuts, man. This is like it, but it was so much fun. And when I'm watching those, I'm trying to learn because like you mentioned those big waves. I'm a Potomac River guy. I'm not dealing with that crap. Okay, just telling you what it is. I'm not dealing with that big waves and stuff coming over the bow. I need to be in like 5 feet of water, throwing a chatterbait, maybe flipping a jig. Can't be doing all that. But you seem to thrive at that, which actually brings me to what I wanted to mention. Because with all of that, you do a lot of stuff that I don't think people know a lot that you do. For example, you offer to find those big schools, to look up those things. You actually have, or at least I saw, and you can tell me if I'm not right, but I saw that you have like where you teach people how to look at the
Yeah.
electronics. I saw that you do like guiding, so you'll take people out where they can catch these big giant smallmouth. I don't know if everybody knows. I live not too far from you, but I had no idea until I hopped on and saw. I didn't know that you offered that type of uh, service where everybody can get out there and do that thing. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, like what it is that you do to help you get as comfortable as you are with riding around. And because I'm waiting for you to make some cash, and you just riding because you're looking for stuff, you're looking for certain things, and I'm like, man, I need to increase my chances because I'm throwing that chatterbait. I ain't got much. I ain't got that. But you ride around till you find. Then you drop them down and you lighten them up. So you obviously got something figured out, man. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
So I run Lowrance graphs. I have the HGS Lives, and I've had those on there. I've had Lowrance units basically since I started doing this. And
Okay.
people spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these things. And it amazes me, like, when you get out there, you start looking at it, and if you don't have the confidence in what you're looking at on your graph, it does you no good. So
No.
this is all experience. I've had so many days out there where I'm idling, looking. And it's like, man, I marked a couple fish. Like, were they bass? Were they not? A lot of this is on like Lake Ontario is where I learned to really
Okay.
dial this in. And you get down there and you have to. At the time, I would just start fishing for them, trying to catch them. And you catch a fish, like maybe whether it was a smallie or sometimes you catch a walleye. Like you would start to kind of put together the pieces of what you were looking at, and then
Okay.
you learn to read your side imaging, like what kind of rock they were getting around and like stage it on. So it's just a big puzzle is all you're really doing, and that's what you're putting together.
Okay.
So what I ended up figuring out then, I had some local guys that started asking me like, can you help me with my units, teach me how to read these things? I don't know what I'm looking at. And I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go hop in the boat. It's called Beltsville Lake. It's about 45 minutes north of where I live. It's right off Highway 476.
Okay.
And we go up there, and we can do it in my boat, but I prefer usually guys to bring their boat because then I can dial in what they're looking at. That way they know when they get back on the water, the settings are going to be it's set for Beltsville because that's the water we're in at the time, which is pretty clear. If you're at the Potomac, you got to adjust them a little bit different, just different things in the water. It's just more cluttered. There's more just like debris and that sort of stuff that makes the picture not as clear. So you just have to adjust it depending on where you're at. But I'm very good with Lowrance. Like I can show you everything you want to know about it. But I do a lot of guys that come up with Garmin, Humminbird. They read the same. It's just the adjustments are a little bit different, and you got to bear with me a little bit. Just I'm not quite as fluent as you want to say, like just work my way through the navigation of the menus, but it all turns out the same. So that was probably 2 years ago I started doing that. And it's a 2-hour class. It's $300. And if you want longer, we can do longer. But that 2 hours, I can really teach guys a lot of what they're looking at. There's some things up there that are really cool. Like there's a lot of stumps out there. There's grass lines. There's a road bed.
Okay. That's good.
It's a wide
really
range of different structure, which is nice because then depending on where you're at, you know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
It teaches you how to see it. But that also then expanded into doing some guiding this past year. This was the first year I've really done that. And it was actually fairly successful. That telling you Beltsville Lake, it's the only lake within an hour of my house where I can run my big boat. So everything else is trolling motor only, 20 horsepower or less. So that's why I go there. And I was a little nervous about it in the beginning because the fishing is not known as like a great lake to just catch a lot of fish. So you have to go in with that mindset. But now that I've figured it out, you go up there and we'll catch them. You catch a 4-pounder. Now 4-pounders are really good fish there. We catch them pretty often. We'll catch them up to almost 5, and there's bigger ones in there. You'll see them in the spring where they're up there cruising the shallows where you can't catch them. Like they're just up there finally happy it's not winter anymore. But it's got some numbers in it. It's got largemouth. It's got smallmouth in it, so you get a mix of what you're targeting. And what I like to do on these guide trips is not as much about catching fish as going out there and learning how to break down the water body. So if a guy does a full day trip, I'll do these out of my boat just so I have all my tackle and rods and everything's already in there. But I'll teach you how to idle, what I'm looking for on the lake, what makes those fish be there, and then also how to present a bait to those fish. So it's kind of like a full gamut of teaching somebody how to go out there, break down, because a lot of people haven't fished that lake. Like I've had guys come from actually from the Potomac come up to fish with me there to kind of learn and see a new body of water and how I approach something like that. So it's a lot of fun. If anybody's interested, Graybuck Fishing is my website.com or whatever. And I got details on there. You can shoot me a message or Instagram, Facebook, any of that. Just shoot me a message if you're interested. I'm starting to book trips out again. I haven't actually advertised it for this coming year yet. It's all just repeat guys. I think I got 6 or 7 guys that are coming back from last year that came out. And I shoot to do 20 to 30 is the number I'm looking to do. I'm not trying to go crazy with it. I don't want to go up there every day. It's not close enough to really make it worth it that way. But it's fun. It's good with times. April, May, and then through the end of June are the best times of the year to be down there or up there at Beltsville. Get the pre-spawn, the spawn, and I really like fishing the post-spawn there. They have a lot of stumps. They also the state puts in fish cribs, which are about 4 foot tall. They stack a bunch of 4x4s on each other, kind of make it a big square almost. And the fish relate to that, so that's really neat. You'll see all the bluegills get on them. I'll teach you how to throw either a swim bait by them. We'll drag a drop shot a lot of times. We'll do a little Nico rigging, that sort of stuff. And the fish, it really teaches guys how accurate you have to be, because I'll be looking at that. They'll be in usually 8 foot of water, and we use our active target a lot. So I'll show you. I'll pan over to it. I'll show you where the bluegill are sitting on it, how they're staged, and then you'll see this bigger dots that are the actual bass. And there's times that you cast over there and you'll see your bait and it'll land 5 feet past it, and you'll see the bass not react to it at all. Like they just sit there. They're focused on the bluegill, and all of a sudden you put that perfect cast, you hit the crib, and you watch that go right down and just drill your bait. Like it's it really shows you how important hitting a target is.
Okay.
It's it's not it's a tougher place to fish than say like the Potomac where you got grass flats where you can get in a grass flat, you cast any direction, and you have a
All
chance of
around.
catching
Yeah.
a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
co-angler friendly. This place is
Yes.
not co-angler friendly.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that's where I teach guys exactly what you're looking for, how to make those casts, and then some guys have never used the active target, or some have it and don't know how to get the most out of it. So a lot of times, if we're fishing a drop shot, say on the crib, I'll take a wacky rig and I'll cast and I'll let you see my bait hit the water and it'll start to fall, but I'll reel it in because I don't want to catch the fish. It's about the client with me getting that bite and
Okay.
feeling it.
Okay.
But I want to show you
Right.
exactly when I say 40 feet at like 11 o'clock, I want you to see where you have to hit. And
Okay.
a lot of it becomes muscle memory. You just got to do it a lot.
Okay.
And eventually you'll be able to take that skill from my boat and take it to your boat. And it's going to help you guys catch more fish. And I had a group, it was two sons and a dad. And they were, I think, 13 and 15. They fished for the PA Junior Bass Nation, I believe it was.
Okay.
That 13-year-old in my boat was the best fisherman I had all year. Like, hands down. This kid was eating up with it.
Yeah.
He was
Okay. Nice.
jacking on, like, he was talking
Yeah.
trash. It was the best thing we had
Nice.
out there. It was so much
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
So it's all age group. Like, whatever you're looking to get out of the day. If you want to catch fish, we'll just go do that. But if you want to learn, that's what I like to focus on.
Okay. Man, so that's you definitely covered quite a bit there, man. That's pretty awesome. I think that the approach that you did and what you do and what you provide to them, because I feel like I mean you hear like I hear it, sometimes people get a guide because they just want to go, just take the spots and use the spots for some other day, type of weird stuff. And I've always felt like, um, use it for gain the knowledge, use that knowledge, and then take that knowledge and then go out there and put that to work at any body of water that you go to. But fish with someone who consistently does it, consistently catch fish, take that approach, what water depth they're at, like different things like that of how to locate the fish, what they're holding on. That accuracy thing is key because I fish with some guys with active target they kind of look at the screen, oh, I think there's a fish over there, and they make a pitch. I don't think they have no clue what they do. I don't think they even know what the species was. I don't think they have. So there's a lot to be said about the technology and using it the right way to make it where you're become an even better angler. But I will tell you this, probably before you got active target, you was catching the snot out of it before you got active target. You just took that skill, added it to active target, added active target to it, and then you still just refined, honed in, and you still right back to catching them.
Absolutely. So the difference between how I used to fish there and how I fish there now with that active target is I used to idle through the areas and say it was a stump field. There'd be 3, 4 stumps on this. I'd put a waypoint on each end of the stumps.
Oh, okay,
And then
okay,
that way, when I came back with my graph, I could line up. I set my range rings to 50 foot. I'd sit about 50 to 100 foot off of it, which is a long cast essentially. And I knew exactly where I needed to sit my boat, where those waypoints were, so I could make a long cast, and I would drag it until I hit those
oh,
stumps.
okay.
So it's the technology. All it has done is made us more efficient.
Right, okay.
It's really what it comes down to. So if you don't have that, you don't have to have it. Like it. There's plenty of days I go out there and I'll turn that thing off, and I don't want to deal with it. Like it becomes work at a certain point where you're so focused on looking at that graph that it's not. It becomes at times it's not fun. Like I would
Okay.
so much rather go to the Potomac at certain times of the year and rip that jackhammer out of the grass and like just get that reaction strike.
Uh-huh.
But there's a place for it, and if you're a
Right.
tournament fisherman, you have to have it at this point. It's how the world's going. It's not going away. I know people, they want to ban it or whatever. It'll never happen. There's too much money behind all the electronics companies in the
Mm-hmm.
fishing industry that
It's here. Might as well learn
it's
how to
here. It's
use
going
it.
to stay.
Yeah.
And
Or just fun
I
fish.
can't. Yep. And there's so many fish that you see that you will never catch.
Yeah, that
I can't
drives
tell
me
you.
nuts.
I cast at fish all the time, and some will swim away, and they're learning. They're adapting to it too, and it's not what it was even 2 years ago. Those fish are getting smart.
They are. And we mentioned the Potomac. So for people that don't know or didn't see or follow along on the thing, I did have the pleasure of fishing with Grae on the Potomac during it was Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit event, right? It was a pro circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a
Yeah, you were
marshal.
Marshall in that one,
I was a
right?
marshal, man. I was back there. I was trying to get my photos and my pictures, trying to get my cameras, trying to do my thing out there, be my reporter guy. So I had the pleasure of. So guys, when you're listening to this and you're listening to Grae tell you the information, I actually watched Grae rip that chatterbait out of the right. I literally watched these things, so I'm telling you, like he's giving you some information. A lot of times on my channel or my podcast, I feel like sometimes people just not everybody, trust me, not everybody, but people have a hard time just taking what's said for what's said. Like you literally just gave this is information. This is information that you're giving out, and it's just like I'm telling you, this is what you need to do to be successful. How about not like go give me a bunch of reasons why it ain't gonna work? Just go give it a try. Make these casts. The thing you said about even putting the rings at 50 feet and marking your areas like that. I know some people don't even do that. They just go out there and just
Mhm.
kind of hope for the best. And you're like giving these pieces. So I'm definitely hoping. I'm learning a lot right now. Like this is phenomenal, and I appreciate you sharing information. But guys, I had the pleasure of fishing with Grae on the Potomac. Got to watch him jack them left and right. I mean, dude, you caught what like 7, 8 in like 15-minute span. You lit that place on fire, man. It was insane. It's such a blast fishing with you there. But like you said, it is definitely co-angler friendly. I wanted to cast my rod so bad. I wanted to cast. Oh man, I was like, they're here. Like they're here. We're on them. Like I need to get a line in the water. This needs to happen. But it was not my tournament. It was your turn. It was your time for. You needed all of that weight, and I think what top something. I know you got to check out that deal.
Yeah,
You did pretty
what was
good
it,
on
like
that deal.
24th maybe?
Yeah,
Somewhere
you
in there?
did. Y'all did. You did pretty good, and
It was a strong one.
it was phenomenal for me to see how while you guys were there, a lot of times you feel like people are stay off my stuff, get out of my area. This is mine. I'm doing my thing, and I was there with you guys and seeing how everybody just worked to catch these fish, and then you find some stuff to yourself, and then everybody was working to catch, and then you found some stuff to yourself, but you had to kind of at the level that you're at, you there may be some other people around because you're not the only one that found that grass flat that's loaded, right? Like, so you got to find a way to catch them in spite of, and in addition to, you got to be able to do it. So maybe tell us a little bit about that event because I know you're really good in the lakes, but when it got to like the river and you got these community holes and people are fishing, maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's just the nature of like the Potomac, the Upper Bay, anywhere that has big grass
One,
flats.
two.
You don't have it to yourself. It's just not how it works. So I think you were with me day one, I believe, right? Of that
Yep,
one.
they won. They won.
I think. Okay, so we were fishing around. Who was it? Like Aaron Britt, Josh Douglas. I think Kurt
Yeah,
Dove was
there's
in
quite.
there. And
Yep.
all these guys, like I'm friends with them. I know them on and off the water, and we didn't tell each other about this spot. We just all found it, and we were kind of with grass flat. Typically, there's so many fish in there. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of timing when they're going
Right.
to eat. The
Right.
tide has to get right. There's usually 2 or 3 windows where all of a sudden they pop. And we didn't actually start there in the morning. We ran up. I had a little of a sneakier spot that I could have to myself, I knew, and
Mm-hmm.
I could go get a limit out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then we ran down to this because I knew there were some bigger fish here. And apparently it went down in the morning. My one buddy was telling me about it. I was like, I
Yeah.
missed it. And
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be the big deal. And I ended up kind of just committing to that jackhammer and just throwing that thing. And I believe I caught 2 good ones at the end of the day there, or second half of the day with you. One was probably 4, maybe another one was pushing 4.
Uh-huh.
And it was just, you kind of had to meander around each other, work around. But we're all there. We're all trying to make a living. We're all want to just cash a check. Like there's no hard feelings out there for the most part. And as long as you're respectful and you're not cutting a guy off or throwing over his line or anything like that, everybody wants to do the same thing, and that's just catch fish. So it doesn't matter what level you're at to. You don't want to make it not fun out there. Like we're all into fishing because we want to have a good time, and you catch fish, you have a good time, and so that's kind of how that played out at the Potomac there, that tournament, and we actually go back there this year, and I think it's a very similar time of the year. So I'm looking forward to that. I
Oh,
haven't
I'm
been
looking
in.
forward to that. That's gonna be a good one. I see. I'm doing myself the Toyota series on the Potomac too. I think I did see
Okay.
you doing some Toyotas too. So you
Yeah, I'm
might
gonna
be
fish that
there.
one.
Yeah, that should be fun. That actually brings me to what I had. Actually, if you guys aren't following Gray Buck has a YouTube, and his YouTube channel is just hit. It just hit three. I think 3K. I've noticed that you've been doing the YouTube. It said like 5, 6 years, but like the last two, you've kind of been like hammering out this content, these videos and stuff like that. So I actually pulled up one that I wanted to show everybody. I had it right here on the screen, but apparently I didn't refresh it enough times. But I had it right here for you. And it actually was one related to the topic we're talking about right now. Here it is, guys. So if you guys are wondering, hopefully you can see that. Let me actually cut this off so you don't have to glare there. But hopefully you guys can see that. We got Gray Buck here on the screen. He's got his channel at Gray Buck Fishing right here on the YouTube. Oh man, it's gonna make me scroll all the way to the end. I will scroll, but while I'm scrolling, for everyone that's listening, y'all won't be able to watch the video, so I'll explain it anyway. But Gray Buck, I went all the way back to the beginning. One, I saw a video on how big your rod locker was. You actually shoved, looks like a member of your family in the rod locker. I don't think that's acceptable to do. Don't be putting your family in your rod locker, Gray Buck. They don't want to be in there. But no, that was great. I was like, this is great. It really shows the size because that's a key part when trying to buy a boat. Just joking there. But this one I did
My wife
see.
was helping me rig the boat.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. She jumped on in
She
there
was pulling a
to.
wire through for me.
Oh, okay. That was funny. I was cracking up. I just saw the door close over. I was like, oh man, there she goes. She's going bye bye. This video that I was watching kind of speaks to what we were talking about before. So you got a video on here from I think it was 5 years ago where I think the title said, "Have you had this dude cut me off?"
Oh yeah,
Do you remember this one at all? It was like a
yeah. That was
minute
actually
long.
down in Florida.
Okay, I was like, so that kind of goes to because you mentioned something. I had a podcast episode, I think it was number 4, where I talked about respect, and from my standpoint, talking about from the back of the boat, being respectful to the guy in the front, but also respect is a mutual thing, and it's both sides, right? Everybody be respectful. Everybody have a good day. We all go home. We have a good time, right? That's cool. But on this one, it was like you were fishing, you're casting. This guy just kind of pulls meanders right in front. You kind of look back and like, dude, what's going on? You still I didn't. I've been in boats where it wasn't as pleasant of an outcome as that one happened to be. Yours, just you were like, "Dang, this kind of sucks," and then you went right on doing your thing. Now, you might have edited the video. We don't know if you edited the video. You might have pushed the guy into the into the floor. But I'm sorry. I was trying to show everybody a video, but that's all. I was just maybe a little bit about that because that was way early on in your career about that etiquette and being out there and fishing and stuff. We kind of just talked about, but
Yeah, no, that was I was just fun fishing with my wife down in I can't remember even what lake it was. It's a little lake down in Florida, and we were going down the bank, and this guy cut across the lake, and he just kind of pulled up and like started to go like he was going to go in front of us. Like, all right, maybe he's going to go like down the bank a little bit. He pulled up like I don't know if it was 100 feet. Like it was like I could have hit him with my I casted no problem, and
uh
he just kind of caught me off guard. Here, there you go. You can see
okay.
him just pulling in right there. See your
Yep,
video there.
there it is. Hopefully, you guys can see.
Yeah, and it was kind of comical. Like if it would have been a tournament, I might have had to say something then, just because you have to have your own water to a certain extent. But
Right.
it
They
was
can't even
I
complete a
wasn't
task
worked
at
up
that
about
point.
it. It was
Yeah, that was. He's right. He's just as. I mean, it looks like he's trying not. He's doing the patented not look at you as he pulls in to his spot type of thing. Like, I don't really know if you're over there looking or not type of a deal. This is just.
yeah.
It's weird, man. So if you're listening again, thank you for tuning in. But we're watching the video. Gray's fishing, doing his thing, and he got a guy just sliding on in. Uh, right there, about to catch a chatterbait to the ear, unfortunately. So it's pretty funny, but still, just I thought that was hilarious, man, from your channel. Now I do see one thing I did want to mention real quick because I see it in the background. You got a beautiful wall of wonderful things behind you that I can see looks like some Z-Man. So I know there's some people that rock with you this year that have been rocking with you, as we can tell from this. They've been rocking with you for a while now, and I see something up top there that's a little tool that I've recently learned about. I think pretty sure from you. A very, very nice tool there. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure how it came into play for the fishing side. I always thought it would be like a great idea to see, but it's almost where active target. I have a feeling that like active target may be soon. Like they may actually pan around and show you the actual species on the graph. I have a feeling they in the works of something coming up soon. That's just my thought. Like the way it's going, there was a Sega Genesis and that the graphics were severely seeing people move, and now you got a PS5 where I feel like I'm in the screen playing basketball with artificial intelligence as all. So I feel like it's always headed a certain way. But you do got some great companies that rock with you, and for what I'm doing here for the podcast, I'm all about promoting and helping people where they're growing, and if you got people that are rocking with you. So tell us a little bit about who's rocking with you, and then maybe a little bit about that camera, how you use it. I watched how you use it. I know it's a great tool, but tell everyone else just a little bit about it there.
Yeah, so I'll start with Aquaview, and that's a company I've worked with now for 3 years on like a business relationship. But before that, I had one already. Like I had bought one, and it's a huge player when you're up north, especially. So when I'm dropping this thing, I'm looking for basically to see the smallmouth bass. So what's cool about it is I'll idle through an area and say you graph over the first. Actually, let me back up. The first time I bought one was when I went out to Lake Erie on the western part out of Sandusky, and there was so many fish out there. And it was smallmouth, walleye, and drum all mixed together.
Okay.
And I quickly figured out like it took too much time to cast out there, try to catch them, to tell like if it was a school of smallmouth, walleye, drum, whatever it was, that I could take a camera, drop it down real quick, look at it, and be like, oh, they're drum. Oh, they're smallmouth. Change a different waypoint. That way I knew what to come back to
Okay.
in the tournament from practice. And then I've kind of grown on it and expanded from that to now I use my Aquaview when I'm practicing. The other thing, when I was talking about the electronics classes I do, I use it a lot then to help people learn what they're looking at too. Because you'll idle
Okay.
across
Okay.
something and you'll look at it and be like, is that a stump? Is it a rock? Is it a boulder? What am I looking at there? And you can't always tell in your 2D, especially when you're not comfortable and you have the experience of what something has looked like in the past. So I'll actually take it over, drop it down there, and you'll look at it and be like, oh, it's a stump. It's about 3 foot tall. It's like a really hard one that's been down there for a while. It's not rotten or anything. Or maybe it's got a bunch of roots around it. Or you drop it down there and it's a boulder all of a sudden, or some man-made, like whatever, it could be a car or whatever it is. Like there's so many things that you see on the graph that you're just not 100% sure. So dropping that gives you the confidence to really know what you're looking at. So it's not just for finding fish. You can use it to see structure, and I stress it a lot that it's really helps me get that much further along in my graph game because of it. Just some fun stuff about the Aquaview. Like when you drop it down there and there's a school of smallmouth, they all swim over. They want to know what's down there in their like living space. They're curious as all get out. And then when you drop it down to a school of say walleye, I call it the drive-by, where they just barely come across the screen. Like in the background, you see like the white tips of their fins, so you know it's not a bass. And then they'll do it again. Like they're wary of it, but they want to check it out. And then you got drum that are like, they see it and they scatter. Like they don't want to be anywhere near that thing. But the smallmouth is like, they stare into the screen. It's cool. The St. Lawrence River, I was using it this year in practice. Drifting a shoal. Still, I didn't have my motor on. I didn't have it on. I was just drifting with the current. It's about 3 miles an hour in this section I was in. So I was moving along at a pretty good clip. And I drop it, hit the bottom in 30 foot. So you drop it all the way to the bottom. Then you pick it up about a foot, maybe 2 off there. And it's got an adapter to it. It's called a trolling fin. That's what keeps it stabilized so the camera will hold and run straight instead of swinging back and forth. But I'm dragging this thing, and this shoal is probably, I don't know, maybe 100 yards long, maybe 200 yards long. It's pretty long. And I got one fish that started following, and he's swimming in at 3 miles an hour, chasing it along, looking at it. And then all of a sudden, a second one comes up, and a third one. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see all this. Like I got videos of fish just coming over and checking out the Aquaview all the time. It's a really neat.
That is pretty cool.
Just piece of technology. And it's more for learning and trying to practice with. And actually, I never use it in the tournament. It's not a way to be efficient, essentially, is which a lot of what I'm telling you guys today comes down to be is the more efficient you are, the more fish you're going to catch.
Right, for sure. So real quick, before we go to the next part, what is somebody looking at if they want to get an Aquaview? How much is that costing for just like I just need a setup to go look and know that I'm not fishing for catfish, I'm fishing for smallmouth, just to help myself out. So
if you're If you're looking for a good entry level one, it's called the Micro Revolution 5.0.
Okay.
It's, I believe, right around $400. It's got a 5-inch LCD screen. They're going to have a new one coming out here. I don't know if it is out yet or it's about to come out. It's like a HD version. It'll be a much better screen on it.
Okay.
Comes with a reel that has 50 foot of line and then has a camera on it. So you drop it down. And it's cool about this is you toss it in your glove box or wherever you're fishing at, like in your boat. It's nice and easy to store. Then it can wrap up real quick. When I use the bigger one, which is it's called the multi-view, I actually hook it up to my Lowrance unit, so this displays the camera image right on my
Okay.
Lowrance.
Okay.
That one's, I believe, closer to $1,000.
Okay.
So it's a more expensive one. If you're fishing in a lot of current and doing a lot of smallmouth stuff, that's probably the one you want to get.
Okay.
But if you're just in a water body that you want to quick drop it down, see if that was a rock, see if it was a stump, see what type of grass it is. That's another good thing to do. I'll go back to
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so that Revolution 5.0 that's a really good one.
Okay.
It's good entry level. I have a code for it if you want to save 10% and you buy it off the Aquaview website.
Okay.
Actually, send me a message if you want it because I think it actually changed for 23. It's usually buck 2022, but I would guess it got switched to buck 2020.
Okay.
But if you're interested, let me know and I'll get it for you.
Okay.
I'll double check and all that. But the vegetation I was telling you about, I was up at Lake Champlain last year pre-practicing in like April, super early in the year, and I was idling these grass flats, and I couldn't tell exactly what it was because it was only 5-6 inches tall. So I was like, I should drop my Aquaview down there and check that out. And all of a sudden I was like, this is a hydrilla bed. This one's a milfoil bed. And I dropped it 2 or 3 times just to kind of get myself familiar with it. And then when I started idling, I could see on my Lowrance unit on the side imaging what it looked like. So I didn't have to keep doing that then. I didn't have to drop the camera anymore. I was able to learn what different types of grasses looked like on the bottom. And then when I would mark a waypoint for when I got to a new area that had either hydrilla or milfoil, I could put a little symbol in there. I usually use a grass, and I'll put an M for milfoil or H for hydrilla or C for coontail, whatever it is. So it just lets you really break down a lake and learn a lot about it, and makes you, again, more efficient.
More efficient. That seems to be a big thing, and you've got some definite nice ways to make sure that you're maximizing your time on the water, maximizing everything that you got, and being efficient about it. I'm going to come right back to the sponsors. I want to give you the whole time talk about sponsors. On my phone here.
All right.
Let's do that.
I can hear you.
Okay, you back
for a second, but I think we're pretty good.
All right. Should be good. All right. I hope so. So, with the side, as far as the podcast I got, when we're talking about a lot of what I'm talking about here as it relates to being a co-angler. So I'm gonna tell you one more time that I did mention you. You had mentioned to me when we were fishing about how great the Chesapeake Bay was, and I was very excited about Chesapeake Bay. I was really looking forward to the Chesapeake Bay, and then I got there, and I immediately wanted to send you a message, but I was in the middle of a tournament to tell you that I was a little bit disappointed at this particular point in time. Because here's the thing, we just went there at a bad time. I think we all know that for the Bassmaster Open this past year, we went there at a time where it was like, and I would say bad time. Obviously, some people still jacked them, but I was looking for, maybe we wasn't in the right. I don't know. Had 16 hours to do, but that's okay. And I did catch fish, so we had a good time. And I enjoyed it. I cannot wait to come back in the spring. Is what I was told. Bring my butt back in the spring. Don't be talking about late summer. Late summer anywhere is pretty much junk, unless you're smallmouth fishing. You gotta still be whacking them in late summer. Seems that to be the case. But springtime, I need to come back. So I will come back in springtime. I will reserve my comments about the bay until the springtime. But I wanted to kind of at least bring in a little bit, because I know you, with your fishing, you perform at the top, at the highest level. I believe that's maybe, and I may be speaking a little bit ahead, but for one of your goals this year, for you to go qualify, because this is the invitational. So to get to that Bass Pro Tour, I believe you were really close last year, like you're really, really close. So I was like, I was pulling for it. I was hoping that was going to happen. But then you're just back at it again. You're still working. We talked about that before. You're still working. But I did notice that you did fish one tournament in 2011 as a co-angler. and then I think you retired from being a coangler after that day. You said, I had enough of this crap. I'm going to the front of the boat. I'm not going to do this ever again. I don't know what happened, but I was trying to bring it all together because I do talk a little bit about coanglers. So for you, and I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to get on this Randy Blockett tangent. I don't want to be an old man on here just going after. I want to just kind of just a tad bit. For co-anglers, if I'm fishing for you, for what you're doing, because you mentioned all the practice all the time, and that's why I'm kind of bringing this all together. You mentioned the time, the amount of work you put in with the camera. You got the other stuff. You're riding around your island. You mentioned going to this body of water early, that body of water early. You're putting in a ton of time. So when you get in the boat and then you got someone else in the back of the boat that's not being respectful, didn't put in that time, making the day miserable for everybody, that's no good. That's not what I'm telling everybody to do when they're co-angling we're listening to. But I do want to, instead of just give them bad co-angler stuff, I want to give them something that can actually help people that are listening to the podcast. So if you're in the front, you put in that work, you know what you're looking at. You're looking at the active target. You got the school. You're marking this, marking that. What do you have, like one tip or suggestion for someone how they would catch fish behind you on like one of these big bodies of water where it's small? I know one place they're everywhere. That's different. I'm probably going to drop down somewhere. I'll get it. And matter of fact, the one tournament that I mentioned for you, you still had a 5-fish limit. I just want to point that out. You still had a 5-fish limit. That was insane, but that's okay. On this one, like we'll give one tip maybe for the co-anglers here that's listening, to give them to catch fish behind you. When, be more specific, when it's that active target scenario, you got it just looking at them. What do you recommend these guys do?
So if you're doing that out in an area, you're out in open water for the most part, and you're fishing a school of smallies like that. If you're the co-angler, I would not cast anywhere near where the boater's fishing. That guy's targeting specific fish, and he's trying to get it on front of him. But there's a school that are swimming around. There's random fish out there. My first year is my rookie year on the FLW tour at the time, and we still had co-anglers. Brian New? Everybody knows him, the best probably co-angler there's ever been. I had day 2 at Lake Travis.
Oh, boy.
That dude, I caught him actually really well the first day, and I was catching him out of suspended trees. I'll get back to your original question, but it's a good story first.
You're good. You're good. I love it.
I love it. He basically, I was catching him with a drop shot, suspended trees. I dropped about halfway down. We didn't have active target. I was using my 2D sonar at the time. And day 2, I went out there, and these fish were still there, and I could not get him to bite, And then I was going down the bank. So if I went down the bank and was fishing bushes, he was casting in the middle. And if I was fishing out in the middle, he was casting in the back. He never made one cast where I did the entire day. And I asked him about it afterwards, at the end of the day, what he was, like his mindset was behind all that. And he said, I don't want to try to fish for the fish that you're going for because they're already being pressured. They know something's going on. And he goes, they can live everywhere. It's the water. That's where the fish are. They're going to be willing to bite bait. And that day, I believe I caught one fish that was a 4-pounder. It was a tough day. He had, I want to say 3. I might be making that up. One was like a 6.5. Another one was like a 4. Another one was like a 3.5. And he had figured out when I was drop shotting, he could take a swim bait and he was rolling it around. It was like probably 3.5-inch bait. And he figured out how to trigger those fish in a different way than I was approaching them. That had worked less than 24 hours a day before. And they changed. So I would say just don't try to focus in so much on what your boater's doing. There's different ways to catch fish. Obviously, if he's crushing them and there's one bait they really seem to be keyed in on, then you got to make that adjustment. But be willing to adapt. Be willing. So say I'm up front throwing a drop shot at those smallmouth out in the middle, and I'm catching one here, one there, but it's not like really hot and heavy. Maybe pick up a little ball head, jig, cast it out there, let it sink to the bottom, and start reeling it. Maybe you can get a reaction strike. Maybe there's a better way to catch the fish than what your boater's doing. And that way you're kind of bouncing ideas almost off each other, whether you're talking about it or not. You guys are both learning from that, and there's always a better way, it seems like, to catch the fish. There's never one way that's going to get every single fish out there. So that'd be my recommendation. Just try to keep expanding on what's in the area, and just they're around. You'll catch them, and it's a lot of fun when you got that co-angler boater relationship. Like some of my best buddies are co-anglers I've had over the years that I stay in touch with. I talk to a couple times a week, and there's good situations like that, and that's probably 95% of mine. I've had one or two that were not the best experience, and some of that I just wasn't around a lot of fish, and then they felt like they needed to kind of like fish where they thought they were, where I was already trying to cast, but
Okay.
it hardly ever happens. Like maybe 2 times in my life, and
Okay.
I actually do enjoy fishing those like pro am tournaments like that, and there's a lot to learn from each other out there.
Okay. I agree. They ask me a lot of times, they're like, Ty, why do you still keep fishing out of the back of the boat, man? They're like, dude, you gotta like, come on, like you know what you're doing from here, you know what you're doing. I'm like, I enjoy it. I literally enjoy because I am. I'm either learning, I hate to say it, but I'm learning what not to do, what to do. I'm learning like from all different facets of what it is. I'm always, and being that I've only been competitively trying to fish for 3 years, right? And then I've been fishing for like bluegill at the pond when I first started for like 5 or 6 years, right? So like when you're trying to build and shorten the learning curve, when you're competing against people that's doing it all the time, you need to absorb everything you can to try to get in there and be competitive. So like I thoroughly enjoy it, the good and the bad. Obviously like all the tournament anglers, you upset if you don't get out there and whack them, and you got to go home and tell your wife, hey, well, if only he had positioned the boat the right way, then maybe I could have caught. Like, yeah, no, like cut all that crap out. Just get out. Either you did it or you didn't, or figure out a way to get it done. So my wife, well, for one, she's limited any of that kind of talk at all. You can't, or she'll use it against me when I put her in the back of the boat and don't let her catch. So either way, but it's okay. So she's like, "Is this what you meant when the guy put you in the back of the boat and wouldn't put the angles?" I'm like, "Oops, my bad. I didn't mean to backboat you. The wind kind of drifted the boat that way. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault." But yeah, okay. So I definitely think that's some very, very helpful information, guys. But make sure you pay attention. Some very, very key things. I have a lot of people that listen to the podcast that are legit trying to learn. So I'm definitely going to leave the links to your stuff because I want them to, if they're coming your way, to check out that guide. I'm also trying to encourage people that you can be a professional tournament bass angler, or you can have a career in the fishing industry, or you can actually do both. And I feel like the people that do both, like figuring out how to make a brand that's got their thing going versus and doing the guiding and doing the classes and then doing the if you have maybe you own a tackle shop, you start your own bait line company. If you just put the whole puzzle together, if you look at somebody like a John Cruz or something, he's selling you the baits and then kicking your butt with the baits. It's kind of like, oh boy, or like I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, I use missile baits, I use that. I'm flipping the D bomb like everybody. So he just beat you on a D bomb. It's like that kind of thing. Just kind of get it coming and going. I feel like that's like the ultimate goal, but in order to do that, sometimes you got to have a certain level of success, which you have, and you're building, and you got it all. So my hats off to you, man. You're definitely goals for quite a few people. To kind of wrap us up here, I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I wanted you to kind of tell us a little bit about your sponsors, and then after that, I got one random question that I'm going to ask you. Just one, actually, it's a two-parter, but it's a random question that I will ask you. I'll do this at the end of the time. Whenever I have a guest on here, I'll do it in the time. Give them a random question, and kind of just let you go from there. But I would love to hear about, and everybody would love the sponsors, the people that's rocking with Grae Buck, keeping Grae Buck on the water. So
Yeah. The biggest fishing companies are, you can see I got a wall full of Z-Man stuff here. I've worked with Bill Lewis, the rattle trap. Everybody's caught a bass on a rattle trap. So I've
for
been with
sure,
them
for sure.
3 years. I'm
Okay.
excited to be working with this year with Buckeye Lures. So a lot of jigs. Everybody, you know the mop jig,
Okay.
big down in the
Okay.
Carolinas. But they got
Okay.
ball jigs. They got all that sort of stuff. Baits I've
Okay.
used actually over the years. Too. So
Didn't
it's pretty
Buckeye just got bought by somebody? Did Buckeye
good.
just get bought? Is that the GSM deal,
Correct.
Buckeye?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's
Okay. All right.
Buckeye, Bill Lewis, Steel Shad, and they also bought Yamamoto. But
Okay. Okay.
that's kind of how I got introduced with it. With Bill Lewis, I was already with, and then it kind of just grew into a growing partnership
Okay.
since it was our kind of organically grown there. But then favorite rods,
That's
I've used
awesome.
them. They're great. I really enjoy it. I
Okay.
got on my YouTube channel. It's called Favorite Rod for the Job. I go over each rod that I have, talk about what techniques I like using it for, the action
Okay.
of it, how it compares maybe a little bit to other rods. So it's a way for people to help buy the rod if you're doing it off of like offline without touching it, which is hard to do, but it gives you a better idea what you should be getting it for.
Okay. Okay.
If you go to their website, you can see they got a ton of rods and the price point. Whether if you want to spend $400 on the top of the line, or if you want to spend 60 on one of their entry level, they got everything.
Okay.
Their GB20 saves you 20% off if you want to do that.
Okay.
People, everybody I've shown them and put a rod in their hand, they end up buying a bunch of them. It really, it's a cool deal. So that's a great partnership I got.
Okay.
You can see something outside the fishing industry, something I pride myself on working with companies that are non-endemic. This is GCI Outdoors. They make a rocking chair. You can see this guy here. You got let's see, we get little gas pistons on it. Best
Oh
thing ever.
boy.
You got a
Okay.
patio, you like to grill, camp, or whatever. This thing, I've had them. I think this is the 5th year I've worked with those guys. So really cool product, something a little bit
Okay.
outside the box.
That's pretty cool. I did see that on your YouTube. You had that was one of your most watched videos, I think, talking about GCI.
Yeah,
Maybe I saw. I think I did see that on there as well. That's pretty cool, man.
yeah,
That's my wife. I love that.
yeah. So no, they make great Christmas presents. I always get people them for Christmas, and everybody's
Okay.
always super happy with it.
Yeah. I bet.
Um, But no, there's a lot of companies I work with. If you go to
Okay.
my YouTube channel, that's where I really try to promote everybody. Same thing with Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook. It's all gray buck fishing, and it. I don't know. I couldn't do it without them. It's the most important thing. It's what makes this be able to be a full time job for me. So I love
Okay.
them. I appreciate everybody. So thanks for having me on. It's a great time to actually help promote them too. So everybody's happy with when you're working for them and helping sell some products.
Absolutely. That's for sure. So definitely, guys, be sure to check those out. I will leave. I will go through and I will find the links to each one of those companies that Gray mentioned. I looked on your page earlier. I could see that um, it's a long list of companies that work with. So I will put them down there in the description so you guys can go check them out because I'm all about, man. Like you gotta support, man. These people when they're supporting and they're working with and actually um, they make good stuff. Greg just told you they make good stuff. Like legit. Like he can't do what he does if his rod's snapping on every fourth cast, if his reel's backlash. You know what I mean? Like if
Sure.
that Zaco's not going through the water or hold on. Nope. That's the wrong company. What is yours? The
Razor
G-Man
Shed.
one. Oh,
That's my
it's the
Chatterbait
Razor Shed.
deal.
Sorry. Don't buy it, not the Zaco. Get the Razor Shad. Get the Razor Shad and that jackhammer and get it going through the water, man. If you get that, I'm telling you, you guys can't go wrong with this stuff. He's got some really good stuff, and I've seen it. I seen it work. I know it works. I know it works. He's got some good stuff. So be sure to check that out. I'll leave the link to all that stuff below for you guys. Ray, I certainly appreciate you coming on. I do have, as always, the random question. I went really random one time. I don't want to go really this time, but I will just a tad bit. Um, we'll do a two-part. First one's going to be pretty straightforward. The second one is actually going to be a little bit random. But first one, favorite, I mean, not your favorite, but which tournament are you looking forward to most on the schedule for this year, for 2023 coming up for the MLF, former FLW, BPT, Bass Pro, BFL tournament trail that you're going to be on? What's your one you're looking forward to this year?
Oh
I just
man,
put
it's
them all
so
in there,
hard. I
sum it up.
love fishing all of them. This year is pretty cool because we got
Okay,
3 new tournaments or lakes I've never been to.
okay.
So I'm gonna actually go with
Ooh,
Clark's Hill. It's the second tournament of the year. It's in the South
Clark's Hill. Okay,
Carolina, Georgia border, and
okay.
it kind of excites me. I think it's gonna fish a little bit like Lake Murray did a couple years ago. It'll be a
Oh,
pre-spawn
okay,
deal this
okay.
time, but big largemouth are in there. They got spotted bass, that sort of stuff in there as well. It's clear water. It's a herring lake,
Okay.
and I've always enjoyed this. It's
Oh,
something different. I don't get to fish those
okay.
herring lakes a lot, so
Okay.
that's what I'm going to say is the one I'm looking forward to the most. The Potomac,
Okay.
that's a special place for me. That's what really kicked my career off. I don't know if we touched on this earlier, but that BFL regional I won there in 2015, that's what really let me pursue fishing full time. So
Okay.
that's,
Okay.
I can't wait to get back there. I absolutely love the river.
Rivers is that's always highlighted and circled on every time I can get to any big major anything on the Potomac. I'm always there. But people find it surprising that I love the river, but I also love hearing lakes. I love hearing lakes. I
Yeah.
will go to Kerr Lake any day of the week. Lake Murray. I will go to any of these places and sit on the point, cast my little fluke up there, and just go to work. Man, I'm trying to tell you, I love it. But then I'll sit in the grass and throw a Senko all day as well. I mean, you got to be good at all of this, right? If you want to keep going, you got to be good at all of it. So it makes sense. But um, my really random one for you, I was actually going to ask you who you think was going to win the Super Bowl, but I kind of already got the answer to that one in the first 30 seconds of this, so I'm pretty good on that. I'm going to go outside of that. What's your favorite artist? We didn't talk about that. Who are you rocking on that 13-hour drive down to Florida? Who you playing?
Oh, I'm like so stuck in like the late '90s and like early 2000s, like hard rock. Like Linkin Park was
Okay.
that was like what
Oh
I loved
man.
growing up. I still jam out to them when on those
Okay.
long rides, and
Okay.
I can't. They're my
Okay.
favorite. It makes me
Okay.
so sad I never saw them in concert when I was growing up before Chester died.
Okay.
Like I would have
Oh
loved to have
man.
seen them,
Okay.
but no, them. That's that's my favorite. I love
Okay.
that sort of music.
That's it. Okay, so we know that Lincoln Park radio on 10,
Yep.
blasting, just going down there, just grooving. That sounds like fun, man. That's awesome. Well, great. I definitely thank you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. This has been another episode of the Coangler Chronicles podcast, guys. You can download it everywhere. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff, and it actually is live on YouTube if you want to come and watch. If you want to watch that little video I was trying to show of Grae Buck, check out his. Be sure he's got some great content on his channel. I follow along with him. Watch. I'm cheering him on every time he hits the water. I want you to win every time. It's different. Like when you meet people and you actually talk to people and you see that they're like good people and they're trying to get somewhere, just out here, like you said, from Pennsylvania, small town, just trying to work. You've put in your work. I'm on your team, man. 100% on your team. I'm cheering you on. Anybody that asks me, I'm telling them, hey, that dude can catch him. Like I've seen him catch him. I know he can. So I'm cheering you on all season long. I'm gonna tune in to all these. I hope you catch a 9 pounder at Okeechobee. I hope that just kicks the season off, and you right here. And then I'll be watching you on TV and just keep on going. So cheering for Grae Buck. You got to cheer for Grae Buck as well. He's definitely a good dude. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you taking the time out, man. And look forward to watching you and watching you on. I don't know what channel you're gonna be on. My Outdoor TV,
Yeah, it's on
maybe on the
that.
website, something like that.
I think it's on Outdoor Network, NBC
Outdoor
Sports, all
Network.
that sort of stuff.
We're gonna be tuned in. We're gonna be tuned in and cheering it on. So, Grae Buck, thank you again, man. Appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day. But guys, thanks for tuning into the podcast. I will catch you guys on the next one. As always, peace, peace. I'm out.
Thanks for having me, man. See ya.